When Liv sent that furious text to the wrong number, she had no idea she'd just signed a contract in blood. 25 minutes later, the most dangerous man in Philadelphia was knocking at her door. Snow was falling over South Philly, like God himself had decided to bury the neighborhood under a white shroud. Liv Raines stood at the frozen window of her tiny apartment above the Chinese takeout joint, watching the flakes swirl in the orange glow of the streetlights. Her fingers shook, whether from the cold seeping through the glass or the rage that had been boiling in her chest for the last 2 hours. She wasn't sure. Mia had finally fallen asleep. Her 4-year-old daughter was curled under 3 blankets, cheeks burning with a fever that refused to break for the 3rd straight day. Dr. Goldman had been blunt. Without the new treatment, the little girl had maybe a month, probably less. Cost of treatment? $80,000, paid up front. Liv had $417.23 in her checking account. She snatched up her phone so hard her knuckles went white. The last contact in her blocked list blinked on the screen. Cole West, her ex, Mia's father. The man who'd vanished 2 years ago with every dime she had and a promise to be right back. He never came back. But 3 weeks ago, someone had spotted him downtown, behind the wheel of a brand new Mercedes, wearing a suit that cost more than she made in a month, arm around a girl who looked like she'd stepped off a magazine cover. Liv started typing. Her hands shook so badly she had to correct every 3rd word. Your daughter needs medicine. $80,000. If you had the balls to buy a new car, find a way. Or for once in your life, act like a father instead of a coward. She hit send and hurled the phone onto the couch. 5 minutes. 10. 15. Nothing. Liv pressed her hands to her face, fighting the sobs. She couldn't cry. If she started, she wouldn't stop, and Mia could never see her mother broken. Never. The phone buzzed. Liv lunged for it. Message read. But not from Cole. From a number saved in her contacts as do not answer. Her heart dropped straight through the floor. Oh God, no. She'd mixed up the contacts. Cole was saved as Cole. Block this asshole. Right above it in the list. Do not answer. The number Cole had accidentally left in her phone 2 years ago. One drunken, terrified night he'd whispered, "If this number ever calls, don't pick up. Ever. These aren't people you fuck with." She'd meant to delete it 100 times, kept forgetting. And now... The phone buzzed again. Incoming call. Do not answer. Liv dropped it like it burned her. The call cut off. 3 seconds of silence. Then it rang again. She picked it up slowly. Her brain screamed, "Don't answer, don't answer, don't answer." But her fingers moved on their own. She swiped. "Hello?" Her voice came out small, cracked. Silence on the other end. So deep and heavy she felt goosebumps crawl up her spine. Then a voice. Low. Rough. An accent she couldn't place. Like he'd been born everywhere and nowhere at once. "So you decided to reach out after all." Liv froze. I sent it to the wrong number. It was a mistake." "A mistake," he repeated, tasting the word. $80,000. A daughter named Mia, 4 years old, rare anemia, and an ex named Cole West who stole something very valuable from me. Her knees buckled. She sank onto the couch as the room spun. "How do you... I know everything about you, Olivia Raines. Your address, where you work, how far behind you are on rent, what meds your kid takes. Want me to list the contents of your fridge?" She couldn't breathe. "Who are you?" A long, painful pause. "Name's Damien Lazar. Most people who know me call me Dame. And now, you and I have a shared problem." "I have nothing to do with you," she whispered, tears burning. "Cole. He left me 2 years ago. I don't know where he is. I don't know what he took. I'm just a mother trying to... I know exactly who you are." He cut her off, and for the first time, something almost like sympathy flickered in his voice. No. Colder. Understanding. "Which is why I'm giving you a choice." "What choice?" "In 20 minutes, I'll be at your door. You either open it and hear my offer or you don't. But if you don't, tomorrow morning no one will ever find you or your daughter again." She clutched the phone so hard the screen cracked. "You're threatening a child?" "No." His voice turned to ice. "I'm protecting what's mine. Your ex stole something that could destroy my family. I'm not the forgiving type, but I'm also not the type who hurts innocents. So you have a choice. 20 minutes, Liv. Don't make me wait." The line went dead. She sat frozen, staring at nothing. One thought pulsed in her head. What have I done? She went to the window and looked out. Snow still falling, but through the curtain of white she saw a black Range Rover pull up across the street. Then another, and another. 3 identical SUVs, tinted windows, engines running. She stumbled back, hand over her mouth to stifle a scream. Mia stirred under the blankets. "Mommy?" The sleepy little voice snapped Liv back into herself. "It's okay, baby," she whispered, crossing to the bed and kissing Mia's burning forehead. "Go back to sleep. Mommy's right here." Mia's eyes fluttered shut. Liv returned to the window. A man stepped out of the first Rover. Tall, impossibly tall. Broad shoulders under a black overcoat. He looked up and the streetlight caught his face for a split second. Liv gasped. A thick, jagged scar ran down the left side of his face, from temple to jaw. It split his eyebrow, crossed his cheek, and ended at the corner of his mouth, twisting his lips into a permanent half-smirk. But it wasn't the scar that made her back away. It was the eyes. Even from 3 stories up, even through the snow, she could see the color. Gray. Cold. Winter steel gray. The eyes of a man who never left witnesses. Damien Lazar looked straight at her window and nodded, like he knew she was watching, like he'd planned for her to see him. Then he started toward the building. Liv had 3 minutes to decide. Open the door for the devil or hide and pray. He went away. But prayers had stopped working the day Mia was diagnosed, so when 3 measured knocks came 2 minutes later, not loud but so certain they felt like they were knocking on her soul, Liv walked slowly to the door. She laid her hand on the knob, took a deep breath, and opened it. Damien Lazar was even more terrifying up close. He filled the entire doorway, huge and motionless like a statue carved from dark marble. Snowflakes clung to his shoulders, melted on his collar, but he didn't seem to feel the cold at all. His face was all hard angles, sharp jaw, straight nose, thin lips, and that scar, ugly, uneven, like whoever stitched it had been drunk or simply didn't care. But the worst part was the eyes. Gray, icy. They looked at her with piercing intensity, like they were reading every thought, every fear, every lie she'd ever told. "Let me in," he said. It wasn't a request. Liv stepped back, legs numb. Damien entered and closed the door behind him with one smooth motion. The lock clicked. She flinched at the finality of the sound. He scanned the apartment. Tiny kitchen bleeding into the living room. The couch where Mia slept. Stack of unpaid bills on the table. Open first aid kit on the windowsill. His gaze lingered on the sleeping child a few seconds longer than everything else. 4 years old, he said quietly. Rare anemia. Dr. Goldman told you she has less than a month without treatment. Liv stepped forward, putting herself between him and Mia. Don't come near her. Damien slowly shifted his gaze to Liv. For one heartbeat, the air in the room felt heavier. He took a step. Another. Stopped half a meter away, close enough that she caught his scent. Cedar, smoke, and something sharp and cold. I don't hurt children, he said, and for the first time, emotion cracked his voice. Disgust. Not at her, at the very idea. Remember that. Whatever happens next, your daughter will be safe. That's the only guarantee I'm giving you. Liv swallowed. Her heart was hammering so loud she was sure he could hear it. What do you want? Damien reached into his coat and pulled out a phone, swiped, then held it out. A photo of Cole, her Cole, or the man he used to be. Only thinner now, terrified, standing beside 2 men in leather jackets, all 3 holding whiskey glasses. Taken 3 days ago, Damien said. Bar on the edge of town. The men he's drinking with are Artem and Lev Kovalenko. Ring any bells? Liev shook her head. Bratva, he continued, pocketing the phone. Russian mob, very aggressive, very greedy. They've been trying to take my business for 3 years, and your ex stole the key to my front door for them. Key? He walked to the window, stared out at the falling snow. His silhouette against the night looked like he belonged to the darkness itself. Biometric token, he said without turning. Little device, size of a thumb drive. Gives access to my family's offshore accounts. $180 million, Liv. Cole stole it 6 months ago when he worked for me. I thought he just ran. Turns out he's trying to sell it to the Kovalis. Her legs gave out. She sank onto the couch, careful not to wake Mia. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know any of this. I know, Damien turned, face unreadable. If you did, you wouldn't be sitting here. You'd already be running. But Cole thinks you're no threat. Just a desperate single mom fighting for her kid's life. And he's right. That makes you perfect. For what? To get back what he stole. Liv stared at him, not believing her ears. You want me to... What? Find him? I don't even know where he is. I haven't seen him in 2 years. You're going to find him. Damien stepped closer, towering over her like a mountain, because he's going to come to you. The second he hears Mia has days left. Liv shot to her feet, anger finally overriding fear. You're insane. Cole abandoned us. He doesn't give a damn about Mia. He abandoned you because he's a coward, Damien agreed. But he's not a monster. There's still a shred of conscience in there. When you call and tell him his daughter is dying, he'll come. Maybe not right away. Maybe he'll try to send money first. But eventually he'll show. Cowards always come crawling back when they think they can dodge the consequences. Liv backed up until the wall met her spine. I'm not using my daughter as bait. You already did. His voice cut like ice. When you sent that text, the only difference is now you're doing it with someone who can actually give her what she needs. He pulled the phone again, showed her a different screen. A clinic website. Children's Center for Advanced Medicine, Philadelphia, the best pediatric hospital on the East Coast. The one she'd called 3 times and been told, no insurance, no upfront payment, no admission. Tomorrow morning, Dr. Goldman will come here, examine Mia, then transfer her to that clinic. Treatment starts immediately. Fully paid, for life if necessary. Tears welled up. In exchange for what? 48 hours. He said, pocketing the phone and locking eyes with her. You and Mia move into my house. You call Cole. Tell him the doctors gave her less than a week. He comes. When he does, you let me know. I get my token back. Cole gets what he deserves. You and your daughter get a new life. No debt. No fear. No more choosing between rent and medicine. It sounded too good. Too simple. And if Cole never shows... For the first time, the ghost of a smile touched Damien's lips. Just a twitch that never reached his eyes. Then I'll find him myself. But that takes time. Time your daughter doesn't have. So it's in your best interest to make sure he comes. Liv looked at Mia, at her pale cheeks, the bruises under her eyes that got darker every day, the tiny fingers clutching the edge of the blanket. She thought of the $80,000 bill, of Dr. Goldman's call last week. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Raines, but without treatment... She thought of standing at her daughter's grave a month from now, and she thought of Cole, how he'd kissed her forehead the last time, promising, I'll be right back, babe. Promise. And disappeared with every hope she had. Liv looked up at Damien Lazar, the man with the scar and the killer's eyes, the man who had just threatened her life and offered to save her child's. If you ever hurt her, she whispered, and steel rang in her voice she didn't know she possessed, I will kill you myself. I don't care who you are. I don't care how many men you have with guns. I will find a way. Damien stared at her for a long time. Then something shifted in his eyes, something that might have been respect. Good, he said softly. Then we understand each other. He turned for the door, paused halfway. Pack your things. Only what you need. A car will be here in an hour. And Liv? She looked up. Don't try to run. You won't make it. And don't bother calling the cops. I have more friends there than you can imagine. He stepped out into the snow and cold. Welcome to my world. The door closed. Liv stood shaking in the middle of the room. Mia stirred. Mommy, who was that? Liv crossed to her daughter, sat and pulled her close, holding as tight as she dared. Nobody, baby, just a man who's going to help us. He's scary, Mia whispered, burrowing into her mom. His face is broken. I know, sweetie, but sometimes the scariest people do the kindest things. Liv didn't know if she believed her own words, but she had no choice. She'd sold her soul to the devil. Now she could only hope the price wouldn't be too high. An hour later, exactly on time, a black Range Rover pulled up. The driver was maybe 30, ramrod straight posture, scar through one eyebrow, ex-military for sure. He stepped out, silently took Liv's 2 small suitcases, and opened the back door. Ryder, he said simply, I'm in charge of your safety. Liv scooped up a feverish, half-asleep Mia, climbed in. The interior smelled of expensive leather and pine. A child's blanket and bottle of water were already waiting on the seat. Ryder pulled away without another word. South Philly dissolved behind them. Peeling row homes, 24-hour bodegas, clusters of people under awnings. The only world Liv had known for 3 years. Mia pressed against her, clutching her mom's jacket. Mommy, are we really moving in with the scary man? With Mr. Lazar, Liv corrected, kissing the top of her head, and it's just temporary, until we fix some things. Will it be warm there? Liv's heart cracked. Their apartment heaters had been broken for 2 weeks. She couldn't afford a space heater. It'll be very warm, baby. I promise. They drove for 40 minutes, leaving the city behind. Streets got cleaner, houses bigger, trees taller. Ryder turned onto a private road flanked by massive wrought iron gates. Security cameras tracked the car. Welcome to the Lazar estate, Ryder said as the gates groaned open. And then Liv saw the house. No, not a house. A fortress. A dark stone mansion rose out of the snowy grounds like a medieval castle. 3 stories, turrets at the corners, narrow windows. Night lights bathed the facade in long shadows. Perfectly manicured lawns hidden under snow. Ancient oaks, black iron fencing. Jesus, Liv breathed. Ryder parked at the main entrance. The massive doors opened before they were even out of the car. A woman in her 60s stood on the threshold in a severe gray dress and white apron, silver hair in a tight bun, kind but tired face. She carried a tray with steaming tea. Poor darlings, she said with a soft Irish lilt, descending the steps. You must be frozen solid. I'm Constance, but call me Connie. I run the house. Her gaze swept over Liv, then settled on Mia, and her face softened completely. Oh, what a wee love. Come along now, no sense standing in the cold. There's a fire inside. Liv followed her in, still holding Mia tight. The foyer was enormous. Marble floors, carved staircase, chandelier the size of her old kitchen. It smelled of wood smoke, vanilla, and fresh-baked bread. Mr. Lazar said to prepare rooms for you on the 2nd floor. Connie explained, leading the way up the stairs. A nursery and a bedroom beside it, connected by a door. If you need anything, just press the button by the bed. I'll come running. They walked down a long corridor lined with dark wood panels and gilded paintings. Connie opened a door at the end, and Liv stopped dead. The nursery looked like something out of a fairy tale. Huge canopy bed, cream-colored walls, shelves already stocked with toys, thick carpet, a child-sized table by the window with art supplies, and in the corner by the fireplace, a rocking chair and a teddy bear almost as big as Mia. Oh my God, Liv whispered. Mia lifted her head, eyes wide. Mommy, is this for me? Yes, love, Connie said, stepping in and lighting the fireplace with a flick of her wrist. All for you, and here's your room. She nodded toward the connecting door. Liv peeked in. Simpler, but no less luxurious. King bed, built-in wardrobes, ensuite bathroom, fresh flowers on the nightstand. Mr. Lazar said Dr. Goldman will be here at 8 sharp, Connie continued, smoothing the blankets. Now let's get this little one tucked in. I'll bring warm milk and cookies. Liv carefully laid Mia down. The child burrowed into the fluffy duvet like she'd always belonged there. It's so warm, Mommy, she murmured, already drifting off. I know, baby. Sleep. Connie returned minutes later with a tray, set the milk down, then unexpectedly squeezed Liv's hand. I don't know what brought you here, dear, she said quietly so as not to wake Mia. But Mr. Lazar, he's not the man he seems. His rules are hard, yes, but fair. If he's taken you under his protection, no one in this world will lay a finger on you. Liv looked at her. And if he changes his mind? Connie smiled sadly. Mr. Lazar never changes his mind. When he gives his word, it's iron, even to an enemy. She left, closing the door softly. Liv sank into the rocking chair, watching Mia sleep. Logs crackled in the fireplace. Snow fell outside. For the first time in 2 years, Liv felt real warmth soak into her bones. But the cold inside her remained. Because this wasn't rescue. This was a deal. And sooner or later, Damien Lazar would collect his part. In the middle of the night, Liv woke to the sound of footsteps in the hall. Heavy. Measured. She froze, listening. They stopped right outside her door. Pause. Then moved on, toward the nursery. Liv flew out of bed, flung open the connecting door, and stopped. Damien Lazar stood beside Mia's bed. He was still dressed, black shirt unbuttoned at the throat, sleeves rolled up, revealing powerful forearms covered in ink she hadn't noticed before. He stared down at the sleeping child with an expression she couldn't read. Not anger, not threat. Something else. What are you doing in here? Her voice came out louder than intended. Damien didn't turn right away. He watched Mia a few more seconds, then slowly looked over his shoulder. In the firelight, the scar looked even deeper. Checking, he said simply. Checking what? That she's breathing. Liv blinked, not expecting that. Damien stepped away from the bed, moving so quietly the carpet didn't even whisper. He stopped right in front of her. Too close, like always. Kids with this kind of anemia can... He paused, searching for the word. Stop breathing in their sleep, especially with high fever. How do you know that? His jaw flexed. He didn't answer. Instead, he nodded toward the door. Out here. Let's not wake her. Liv followed him into the hall. He closed the nursery door softly, then leaned against the wall, arms crossed. In the dim sconce light, his face looked harsher than ever. I had a little brother, he said quietly. Jacob, 6 years old when they found the leukemia. I used to wake up every night to check if he was still breathing, because one morning he just wasn't. Something twisted in Liv's chest. I'm sorry. Don't be. He pushed off the wall. It was 20 years ago. I just wanted you to know. I understand what it's like to watch someone you can't save die, so I won't let it happen to your daughter. He started to leave, but Liv suddenly asked, Why are you really helping us? You need Cole, not me. You could have just taken me, forced the call, gotten what you wanted. Why the treatment? Why all this? He stopped, looked at her for a long time. Because children shouldn't pay for their parents' sins. Ever. Then he walked away, melting into the dark corridor. Liv went back to bed, but couldn't sleep. She lay staring at the ceiling, thinking about the man with the scar who checked a stranger's child's breathing in the middle of the night. And for the first time, she wondered, maybe Damien Lazar wasn't a monster. Maybe he was something far more complicated. Morning came too fast. Liv woke to a gentle knock. Mrs. Raines? Connie's voice. Dr. Goldman is here. Liv threw on a robe and ran to the nursery. Mia was already awake, sitting up in bed hugging the giant teddy, eyes huge as she took in the room. "Mommy, even the bear smells good," she announced solemnly. Liv laughed despite everything. "I know, baby. Dr. Lena's here to check on you, remember?" Dr. Goldman arrived a minute later. Elegant, mid-50s, silver streaks in dark hair, kind eyes behind glasses. She smiled at Mia and set her medical bag on the table. "Hi, sweetheart. Sleep okay?" "Good. It's warm and the bed's huge." The exam began. Temperature, blood pressure, listening to her heart. Liv watched the doctor's face grow progressively graver. Finally, she straightened and removed the stethoscope. "Mia, love, go look out the window. Maybe the birds are having breakfast." Mia obeyed. Dr. Goldman beckoned Liv to the far corner. "It's worse," she said quietly. "Hemoglobin's crashed. We need immediate hospitalization and transfusion. Plus start the experimental protocol. We have a week at most, Liv. Maybe less." Liv's head spun. "But you can save her, right? Tell me you can save her." Dr. Goldman squeezed her hand. "I'll do everything in my power, but we have to move now. Mr. Lazar has already arranged the transfer for today. ICU suite is ready." "Today?" Panic surged. "I thought—" "Liv." The doctor looked her dead in the eye. "I don't know what your arrangement is with Mr. Lazar, but he's saving your daughter's life. Whatever he wants in return, it's worth it." The door opened. Damien stood there in a charcoal suit, hair swept back, looking like he'd just left a board meeting or signed someone's death warrant. "Doctor," he nodded. "News?" "Immediate hospitalization. I've spoken to the clinic. They're expecting us." "Good. Ryder will drive. Liv, you're going with them." Liv could only nod. Damien walked to the window where Mia still watched the snowy garden. "Hey, kiddo." Mia turned and looked up at him, unafraid. Kids see things adults miss. "You're the scary man with the pretty house," she declared. One corner of his mouth twitched, almost a smile. "That's me." "You brave?" "Uh-huh. Mommy says I'm really brave." "Then you need to go with Dr. Lena to the hospital so they can make you all better. Deal?" Mia frowned. "Will Mommy be there?" "Always," Damien said, and the absolute certainty in his voice made Liv believe it too. 2 hours later, Mia lay in a private room at the Children's Center for Advanced Medicine. IVs, monitors, white walls, but bright, with murals and toys on the shelves. Dr. Goldman orchestrated everything with terrifying efficiency. Labs, consults, treatment plan. Liv sat by the bed holding Mia's hand, trying to process the medical jargon that sounded like a sentence. "Mommy," Mia squeezed her fingers. "I'm scared." "I know, baby, but the doctors will help, and I'm right here. Always." The door opened again. Damien walked in. No suit now, black turtleneck and jeans. In his arms, an enormous pink unicorn. "Figured you needed a friend," he said, offering it to Mia. Her face lit up as she hugged it. "Thank you, scary mister." "Just Dame," he said, crouching beside the bed. "You can call me Dame." "Why's your face broken?" "Mia," Liv scolded, but Damien actually chuckled. Real, crooked, scar-twisted, but real. "Because I wasn't careful a long time ago. Now it reminds me to pay attention." "Did it hurt more than shots?" "Way more." Mia considered this, then nodded decisively. "Then you're brave, like me." Something warm flickered in Damien's eyes, almost tender. He reached out and gently brushed a curl from Mia's forehead. "Yeah, like you." He stood and motioned Liv into the hall. "Transfusion starts in an hour," he said, staring out at the snowy street. "Dr. Goldman's optimistic. Good chance." "Thank you," Liv whispered. "I don't know how to say it enough. Just thank you." Damien turned, his face serious. "You don't owe me thanks. Not yet. Because now we talk about your half of the deal." Liv nodded. She'd known this was coming. "Cole." "Yes, you need to call him. Right now." He handed her a phone, not his, a new one in a rugged case. "Secure line, untraceable. Tell him Mia's in the hospital. Doctors gave her less than a week. Tell him you need 50 grand for one last chance surgery. But you already paid. He doesn't know that, and you don't tell him. You make him believe she's dying and only he can save her. Understand? Liv took the phone, hands shaking. And if he says no, he won't. Maybe not come right away, but he'll send money, and money leaves a trail. Damien stepped closer. You have to sell it, Liv. He needs to hear the desperation, the terror. He has to believe you have no other options. She looked at the phone, then at the door where Mia lay. Okay, I'll call. She dialed the number she still knew by heart, the one she'd tried hundreds of times those first months after he disappeared, ringing. Once, twice. Hello? Cole's voice, wary. Cole, it's me, Liv. Long, painful silence. Liv? Jesus, how did you… Doesn't matter, listen to me. She closed her eyes, pictured Mia hooked to machines. The tears were real. Mia's in the hospital, it's bad. Doctors say days, maybe a week. What? His voice cracked. What happened? The anemia, rare form. She needs an experimental treatment, last shot, but I can't pay. Cole, I need 50,000. Please, she's your daughter. If there's anything human left in you… Liv, I can't right now. Panic. I've got problems, serious ones. Your daughter is dying. The scream tore out of her before she could stop it. I don't give a damn about your problems. Find the money, steal it, borrow it, I don't care. But if you don't help, I will never forgive you. Never. Silence. Then, give me 2 days. I'll figure it out. I'll send it. Promise. We don't have 2 days. 1 then. 24 hours. Account number? Liv recited the one Damien had written on a slip. And Liv? Cole's voice dropped. I'm sorry. For everything. It just got away from me. He hung up. Liv stood clutching the phone, tears streaming. Damien silently handed her a handkerchief. You did good. I just used my dying child to manipulate her father, she whispered. How is that good? Because he deserves far worse, and he's about to get it. Damien took the phone, checked the screen. Call came from downtown, warehouse district by the river. My people are moving. You traced it? I trace everything. He looked at her. Go back to your daughter. Stay with her. Ryder's outside the door. If Cole shows up here, we'll know. And you, I have a meeting. His face hardened. With the Covalis. They're looking for Cole too. Time to remind them who owns this city. He was already walking away when Liv called. Dame. He turned. Be careful. Something softened in his eyes for a fraction of a second. Don't worry about me, Liv. Worry about anyone who gets in my way. That evening, Liv sat with Mia while the transfusion ran. Color was already returning to her cheeks. She even managed some broth and jello. Mommy, will Mr. Dame come visit again? Mia asked, eyelids drooping. I don't know, sweetie. Maybe. He's nice, even if he's scary. Liv smiled, kissing her forehead. Yeah, even if he's scary. She stepped into the hall for coffee. Ryder stood guard like a statue. Coffee? She offered. No thank you, ma'am. On duty. How long have you worked for Mr. Lazar? 7 years. Ryder never took his eyes off the corridor. He saved my life in Afghanistan. Now I repay the debt. He was military? He's been everywhere. Survival was the only option. Liv was about to ask more when her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Money tomorrow. Promise. Hang in there. See. She showed Ryder. He immediately forwarded the screenshot. Boss will know in 10 seconds. 2 minutes later, a reply from Damien. He bit. Tomorrow night, he's either dead or broken. Stay with Mia. Do not leave the hospital. Ryder's with you. Liv went back inside, sat in the chair beside Mia's bed, and watched her little chest rise and fall. She thought about Cole, about the man he used to be, funny, charming, a little lost, but kind. When he disappeared, she thought she'd die from the pain. Now she felt nothing, just hollow, and a strange, anxious anticipation. In the middle of the night, she woke again to footsteps. But this time, they weren't Damien's. Fast, stealthy. She bolted upright. Mia slept, door closed. But outside the window, shadows moving in the hospital garden. Liv ran to the door and flung it open. "Ryder!" He already had his gun out. "What?" "Garden. Men." He keyed his radio instantly. Code red. Perimeter breach. South wing, 3rd floor. Immediate response. Copy. Team en route. Ryder turned to Liv. "Lock this door behind me. Open for no one except me or Mr. Lazar. Clear? But do it!" She slammed the door, threw the deadbolt, then raced to Mia, scooping the sleeping child into her arms. Mia whimpered but didn't wake. Liv backed into the farthest corner, heart thundering. Muffled thumps outside, silenced gunshots, grunts, bodies hitting the floor, then silence. Liv trembled. Mia woke and started crying. "Shh, baby, shh." Liv rocked her. "It's okay. Mommy's got you." The doorknob rattled. "Mrs. Raines, open up." Unfamiliar male voice, thick accent. Liv stayed silent, clutching Mia tighter. "We won't hurt you. We just need the girl." "What?" "Her blood type. Our boss needs it. We'll pay anything you want." Nausea hit Liv like a wave. They wanted to harvest Mia for the dying Kovalenko patriarch. "Open the damn door or we break it down." Liv scanned the room. Window, 3rd floor, but there was a roof below. She might... The door shuddered under a kick. Another. Hinges started to give. Liv rushed to the window, cranked it open. Cold air blasted in. She set Mia on the sill. "Hold on to me super tight, baby." The door exploded inward. 2 men in black rushed in. One raised a pistol. "Don't move!" And then the window behind Liv shattered. Not shattered. Someone crashed through it. Damien Lazar flew into the room like a nightmare given flesh. Glass sprayed everywhere. He rolled, came up shooting. 2 precise shots. Both men dropped. Liv screamed, shielding Mia with her body. Damien rose, brushed shards from his coat. Blood, not his, streaked his face. He scanned the room, confirmed the threat neutralized, then looked at Liv. "You hurt?" She shook her head, speechless. He knelt in front of her. "Mia?" "She's scared, but okay." Damien reached out, impossibly gentle, and wiped tears from Mia's cheek with his thumb. She sobbed into Liv's neck, but didn't pull away from his touch. "It's over, little one," he said, voice rough from adrenaline. "I'm here." Mia lifted her head, eyes huge with terror and trust. "You came through the window," she whispered, "like a superhero." He gave her a short, crooked grin, real this time. "Yeah, just missing the cape." Running footsteps. Ryder appeared in the doorway, gun ready, face bloody. He nodded to Damien, all clear. 6 total, 3 dead, 2 cuffed downstairs. 1 got away, but we'll find him. Damien rose, eyes still on Liv. "Kovalenko," he said simply. "They know she's here. Her blood type is rare, matches their grandfather's. He's dying. They need marrow." Liv felt the world crumble again. They were going to take my daughter? To save theirs? Yes, and they won't stop. He looked out the broken window, snow falling heavier, already covering the blood on the roof below. "We're leaving. Now." "Where?" Liv clutched Mia tighter. "Home, the estate. It's safer. Hospital's burned." He keyed his phone. "Connie, prep medical wing. The girl's coming home, and get Dr. Goldman to the house." 20 minutes later, they were tearing down the highway. 2 black SUVs, Ryder driving the lead, Damien the second. Mia slept on the back seat wrapped in blankets, head in Liv's lap. Damien was silent the whole way. Only once glanced in the rear view and met Liv's eyes. "I promised she'd be safe," he said quietly. "I broke my word. I'm sorry." Liv shook her head. "You flew through a 3rd-story window like goddamn Batman. You kept it." He didn't smile, just nodded. The estate welcomed them with silence and light. Connie waited at the door, eyes red. She took Mia into her arms like a grandmother. "My poor wee babe. Come on, I've got your bed all warmed. Damien walked them to the medical wing, a fully equipped mini clinic on the first floor. Dr. Goldman arrived an hour later, examined Mia, started a new drip. She needs rest, she told Liv, and safety. I'll stay till morning. When everyone finally left, Liv stepped into the hall and nearly collided with Damien. He stood at a window staring into the night, shirt torn, blood on his sleeve, scar black in the dim light. You're hurt, she said. Scratch. Let me see. He sighed but rolled up the sleeve. Bullet graze across the forearm. Liv silently fetched supplies from the med wing, cleaned and bandaged it. Why did you come yourself? She asked softly. You could have sent men. Because if I'd lost her... He stopped, voice dropped. I wouldn't have forgiven myself. Liv looked up. Why do you care so much about my daughter? Long silence. Because I couldn't save my brother, Jacob, 6 years old, leukemia. I was 16. Promised my mother I'd get the money for treatment. I did, from the wrong people. Couldn't pay it back. They came for me. He stepped between us. The bullet was meant for me. Liv froze, bandage trembling in her fingers. I lived. He didn't. Since then I pay my debts, always, and I don't let kids pay for their parents, ever. He met her eyes, raw, unguarded. I'm not a good man, Liv. I'm a monster, but I have one rule. Kids are off limits, always. She finished the bandage, didn't look away. You're not a monster, Damien Lazar. You're just a man who's been alone too long. He turned abruptly to the window. Don't look for a hero in me. There isn't one. I'm not. I see a man who leaps through third-story windows for someone else's kid. He didn't answer. The next day, Cole came himself. Not the money, himself. Liv sat in Damien's study. Dark walls, massive fireplace. Mia slept in the medical wing under Connie's and the doctor's watch. Damien stood behind the desk when Ryder brought Cole in. He looked like hell. Thin, eyes sunken, stubble, expensive suit rumpled, hands shaking. Liv! He started toward her, then saw Damien and froze. Hey, Cole, Liv said coldly. Long time. Where's Mia? His voice broke. You said she was dying. She's alive, and she's going to stay that way, thanks to him. Liv nodded at Damien. Cole went white. Lazar? Oh God, Liv, how did you... Wrong number, she said, standing. Remember that text? It wasn't meant for you. Cole backed toward the door. Ryder blocked it. The token, Damien said calmly. Where is it? I can't... Damien took one step. Cole collapsed to his knees. I sold it to the Covalese. They promised protection. Said they'd kill me if I didn't. I didn't mean... You just wanted to live, Damien finished. Now you die. Cole sobbed. Please, I have a daughter. You have a daughter, Liv repeated, rage shaking her voice. And you left her to die. You didn't come for 2 years, not even when she was burning with fever. You came now because you were scared for your own skin. She stepped closer. You're done, Cole. Everything you had, you lost. Damien drew his pistol, calm, like pouring coffee. Wait, Liv said. He froze. Give it to me. Damien looked at her for a long moment, then handed her the gun. Cole looked up, eyes wild with terror. Liv. No. She took the pistol, hands steady. You stole 2 years of my daughter's life. You stole her father from her. You stole my faith in people. She aimed. Goodbye, Cole. He screamed. She pulled the trigger. Click. Empty. Cole pissed himself. Liv lowered the weapon. You're not worth the bullet. Damien took the gun back, nodded to Ryder. Basement. Let him think. We'll decide later. They dragged Cole away. Liv stood shaking. Damien stepped behind her, rested his hands gently on her shoulders. You okay? No, she whispered, but I will be. He pulled her against him. She didn't resist. A week later, Mia was improving fast. The therapy worked. color in her cheeks, laughter in the halls, calling Damien Dame-icorn. The Coveleys backed off. After Damien recovered the real token, Cole had hidden a copy in Mia's old stuffed rabbit back at the apartment. And after two Kovalenko brothers woke up missing a finger each, notes pinned to their pillows, next comes the head. They got the message. One evening, Liv found Damien on the terrace. Snow had stopped. Sky clear, stars sharp. "Mia wants to know if she can give you a drawing," she said. "Of course." Liv stepped closer. "Damien." He turned. "Am I leaving?" she asked. "Deal's done. Cole's handled. Mia's healthy. I can take her and go." He moved in close. "You can leave any time. With money, new identities, protection if you want it. I won't keep you." Pause. "And if I don't want to leave?" He stilled. "Then stay." Liv reached up, touched his scar. He didn't flinch. "I'm staying." He bent and kissed her. Slow, careful, like he was afraid she'd break. She kissed him back. Behind them, in the nursery window, Mia pressed a drawing to the glass. 3 stick figures holding hands, one small, 2 big, a rainbow overhead, uneven child letters, my family. Damien Lazar, the most dangerous man in Philadelphia, smiled, really smiled, for the first time in 20 years. Sometimes the devil doesn't take your soul. Sometimes he saves it.